What do you wish you had in high school that kids have today? An environment in which being smart is a good thing, and nerdy is not a bad thing. It still boggles my mind how mainstream media such as anime and superheroes, hell, even video games, are now. When I was in high school, liking those things still made you a bit of an outcast. Anime is still a very fine line. If you're too vocal and public about anime, you become the school weeb. If you're into anime but still have a life outside of it, then you're all good. When I went to school, if you knew the name of even one anime, your only hope for friends was the weird kid obsessed with wolves. My son is in his high school's robotics team. They have tons of tools to build robots to compete, including a big machine that cuts sheets of metal based on what digital file you send it. I'd have loved to have had that. When I was in high school, the most advanced tool I had access to was a dot matrix printer. I wowed my classmates with my complex report covers made with word art and highly pixelated graphics. Word art peak visual design. Imgur.com. The Internet. I was able to use the Internet for a project during my senior year, really made me wish I'd had it my whole life. This project usually took 3 months, but I had it done in a week because most of that time was normally spent fact-finding. As someone who grew up with the Internet, I feel I take it for granted now. As somebody who grew up as the Internet grew up, I know I take it for granted now. My friend has been a programmer for over 25 years, and he doesn't remember how he did his job before Google. He had a pile of reference books. Stack Overflow, Volume 723. Page 1156, you have come here to learn about lists. This section has been marked as a duplicate. Please refer to page 2473 in the section called You are intrinsically an inferior human being for using lists. Regardless of your application, you should use arrays. And refer to subsection 51, arrays don't work for your application. I'm feeling personally attacked here. MP3 player, Spotify and the like. I had to carry around my Discman on my long walk home from school. Even with anti-skip it would still buffer every now and then. Don't get me started on batteries too. Nowadays it's so easy to listen to anything at any time, back then it wasn't. I'm still discovering new music from 20 plus years ago thanks to Spotify. So much easier than sitting next to the radio with your finger on the record button so you could capture your favorite songs on cassette tape. Class of 1984, a word processing program. I cannot write or type for shit, I have dysgraphia. If I could have been able to get words on paper as easily as we can do now, who knows how my life might have turned out. This is something I'll never ever take for granted. I hate online textbooks, online gradebooks, and Dropbox assignments, but I really do love being able to type up assignments. I find online textbooks useful. Especially when using Ctrl+F to find quotes and excerpts. Ctrl+F is a godsend command. True. But when it comes to older textbooks, which have been scanned, OCR hasn't exactly been perfected yet. That's one area I hope improves in the coming years. OCR is actually extremely good, it's just that commercial consumer OCR software hasn't caught up with the research. Cutting-edge OCR uses neural networks and is used in things like scanning checks. It's also used when scanning in textbooks. When the people doing that scanning are serious about it. I'd say we are less than 5 years away from neural network OCR being commonplace software for end users. It's going to be wild. Neural networks can do crazy things, and in the last few years they've started to outperform static code systems by orders of magnitude. Digital photography. I have so few pictures of friends and good times we had during high school because no one carried around a camera and bothered to get film developed. Of the ones we did have, most are long gone with no negatives to get them reproduced. Edit to all of the folks saying to be glad because there aren't that many pictures to come back and haunt you. When you're in your 50s you'll be amazed at just how few people give a crap about the stupid stuff you did in high school. We all did stupid stuff, no one is unique in that aspect, you just grow to realize it wasn't really all that stupid. I was that annoying girl that brought her Canon DSLR with her every day and kept filming and shooting without consent. Don't know how and why I kept doing it even though everyone hated it, but now people are contacting me because they want to see photos from when they were teenagers. I did the same thing. I shot slides because they were cheaper to develop than color prints. Now, I have a box of at least 3,000 slides that I'm scanning to make digital copies. They're from the late 60s into the 90s. Now it's so easy to tweak the exposure and color. Programming classes. I seem to have just missed that after I graduated. I took my first high school programming class in spring of 1978. I went to the same high school as my dad. He did a programming class back in the 70s. From 2000 until a few years ago, it was pretty much about using MS Office, Word, Excel, etc. They started teaching programming again a few years ago. I just find it funny how they stopped for so long. I'm doing a degree in CS, so it would have been nice to have been introduced to it much sooner. I find it really interesting. It grinds my gears so hard that they do this. I swear we spent so many flippin' hours messing around on stupid PowerPoint and off-brand graphics design programs, designing posters for bands and writing CVS at the age of 14. I would have so appreciated some formal teaching in programming, and it was all just such a colossal waste of everyone's time and energy. Literally, whoever thought those courses were worthwhile, it blows my mind. I'm so grateful my youngest sister is finally getting to do a new programming course in school. I love watching how cool she feels when she can type functioning code, even if it is only basic maths or the like. Khan Academy. It would have been cool to have access to Khan Academy when I went to school. It's still cool to have access to it today outside of school. The stuff you can learn on there is insane. Absolutely. As soon as I heard about Khan Academy, I bookmarked, signed up, and got excited for all the stuff I can learn that could help me in my daily life. This was years ago. I'm sure I'll start a course one day. To Merle. Probably cell phones. The ability to call or text an individual to find out where they are was a revolution, but wasn't widespread until I was in college. Used to have to call their parents' house and hope they were there. The idea that once you left the house you were just in a communication black hole until you returned or actively called someone from a payphone is a big change from the modern day. You had to make plans the day or morning before, and then if anything happened to derail those plans, then whole thing was just a failure. I remember making the collect call, and instead of my name I'd say pick 'm up real quick, and after the message played my mom would decline the charges and know to pick me up. Ah, those were the days. I had a baby, it's a boy. Whoever came up with this marketing commercial deserves an award. It's still the single most memorable commercial of all time. So this isn't a tangible thing I wish I had, but I have a 14-year-old son, and the one thing that I really admire about him and his entire friend group is that they are so open with their feelings with one another. It sounds cheesy, but it seems like kids in this current generation are much more okay with letting each other know they care. There's just an openness with them all that I find refreshing. It's something that I didn't experience in my sad goth staring out the window late 90s high school days, and I really love it about all those kids. Edit, a word edit too, thank you for the gold. To be honest, this entire thread has made my day. I am so happy that it seems like there are a bunch of kind kids growing up out there. I know there will always be turds in the punch bowl, but it makes me feel hopeful that the younger generation seems to be doing things right. I'm in college as an older person ATM, and honestly, I wish I had the social dynamics lol. #X200B, I was eating lunch and I heard two guys talking to each other, and he was showing his friend something on his phone and he was like, bro, she's beautiful, I can totally see you guys together, and it seemed to make the other guy really happy. I don't know if he was maybe feeling insecure about how he looks or whatever. But you could tell it meant a bit to him. It just seems less cliquey. Less every man for themselves. I'm sure there's plenty of assholes, obviously. But just generally kids seem really nice and smart these days. A while ago someone in high school posted on here that being different means interesting and therefore cool. That's just mind-blowing compared to my high school time. That's the complete opposite of when we were in school. Conformity was how you avoided being singled out, now it makes you a sheep. I'm glad that's finally sorting out.